Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Perspective. It's the 10th anniversary of PTV World. Of course, an international channel which seeks to engage international audience and basically aims to impart actual perspective, informing people about the actual reality, the real news. I'd like to take a little bit from our guests, Ali Salman, who's an economist. Ali Salman, sir, would you like to say anything about PTV World? And of course, it seeks to engage international audiences primarily, and I think it's the only English channel. How do you see it in the last, let's say, it's been 10 years. How do you see the change? How do you see it, trying to work towards imparting, real news, real, as opposed to propaganda? How do you look at that?
Well, I think it is playing an important role in information dissemination, in also presenting objective analysis, and I believe that we need at least one news channel which is offering news and analysis to local audience and also overseas Pakistanis, and as well as international audience who are based in Pakistan, like international diplomatic community are based there or looking at Pakistan. So there is no other channel which is fulfilling the service, which is important work we're doing.
That's true. We also have with us Dr. Hakan Najeeb. Dr. Hakan, before we move on to economy and the challenges that, of course, Pakistan is at this time dealing with, I'd like your comments on how you view what PTV World is doing, the role that it's playing in, engaging international audiences, in, engaging international community, in trying to disseminate, information as opposed to propaganda. How do you see it? Dr. Hakan, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you?
Ji.
I think PTV is always been a place where everyone's learned and moved on as well. So PTV has been the school, I think, which has taught many an artists in Urdu for decades. So over the last decade, PTV World coming in as an English channel, I think is a good omen for Pakistan, because a lot of our viewers, not only local, but are people, the 10 million Pakistanis settled abroad and the English audience abroad, as well as the diplomatic community in Pakistan. It's an easier way to listen to, of course, people talking in an international language, and especially English. I've been associated with PTV World for a long time, even when I was with the government, and after that as well now. And I have found all the programs are well researched. The standard is excellent. And being the only English channel, I think it has made an effort to reach the audience, which otherwise would have been difficult. I wish them success in the future. When I say them, I mean all the people who contribute, whether it's Patafi Saab, you, Sana, Asad, everyone, and the producers at the back who do this. And I hope we can be of help to you to promote it to be a premier channel, not only in Pakistan, but the likes of Al Jazeera, which are internationally now promoted. And
Thank you
let's
so
look
much.
into.
Thank you so much for such a warm message. I think it'll be well appreciated by everyone on the team. I want to move on and talk about, of course, today, as far as economic challenges are concerned. We are looking at a situation where, of course, today we've seen the price increase as far as fuel is concerned, and the ramifications of that. We'll be talking about that. Of course, we've also, at this time, I want to talk about the overall critique that's coming from the opposition. We have seen the opposition saying that the government is grappling with challenges as far as economy is concerned. The government, of course, acknowledges this, but at the same time, we have an opposition. I want to state at the very outset, the former Prime Minister Imran Khan has now decided to contest on all the seats on which the by-elections are to be held. I think some 33 seats, and this again at a time when they say that there is, of course, they are serious about talking about the economic crisis. They're serious about the kind of issues that confront the common man. But of course, with a dearth of funds at this time, is it not a mockery of the whole system? Is it not a mockery of the fact that there are no funds to begin with? And of course, then we will have to have another spate of by-elections. So all of that, seems to escape the former Prime Minister at this time when he decides to play with the system yet again. I want to talk about this. I want to talk about, of course, the IMF conditionalities that the government has to deal with. I want to talk about the challenges that are likely headed towards our way very soon in the next couple of weeks. What can we expect? All of that today on Perspective. I think I've already introduced my guests. Ji, Ali Salman Saab. Of course, the situation is what it is, and we saw Maryam Nawaz come yesterday, and she took it head on, and she said that there are numerous challenges as far as economy is concerned. I'm not going to deny this. I'm not going to say that they're not there. But this is what it was when we came in. In that kind of a scenario, what do you expect now? Of course, the IMF, the conditionalities that are being imposed are, the government is mandated to follow them. How do you see it?
Well, first of all, I think we need to look at the situation beyond politics, and that is to look at the viability of the state itself, viability of the government itself, because whatever political position different parties are taking, whether in the government or in the opposition, I think all of them must agree that ultimately it is the state, the system, which has to be reformed, which has to be driven towards public interest rather than special interest.
Right.
So in that context, the situation we are in is of course not easy to handle. In the short run, we'll have to all agree that the program which IMF has introduced and the discipline which it expects the government to follow is in the best interest of the country.
Okay.
Now it will be a better pillar, obviously, for the people. We were seeing petroleum prices rising significantly. Also rupee versus dollar prices also have been significant depreciation has taken place last week. So this is because we have not taken the right measures in last few months, in fact few years. And this is kind of the price we are paying. Now it is important to realize that in this context, as you were saying, if the opposition leaders or if the political parties do not exhibit enough seriousness, which is missing at this point in time, then I think as a nation, as an economic system, we will incur significant losses. And although with the help of friendly countries, we have been able to avoid the default, but we really need to act together and take some serious measures here.
Let me come back to you. Ji, Dr. Khaqan, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Dr. Khaqan, let me ask you a direct question in the sense that, if the vote of no confidence had not taken place, for example, in a hypothetical scenario, of course, and there would have been the same kind of delay that we saw in increase in prices, in trying to address the conditionalities that were then imposed by IMF. Would we not be where we are, if there was no change, for example?
Maruf, so if you look at what happened in December 2021, Pakistan's State Bank held $18 billion in reserves. I think when the vote of no confidence happened, we were down to about 11, and today we are down to about $3.6 billion. Pakistan is going through a severe dollar liquidity crunch. Let's say that the VONC had not happened and the government was going on. I think the only road that the government could have taken, the only road that any government can take today is to go to the IMF. The 7th and the 8th review got delayed. I think 7th review discussion started sometime in February, but they could not be concluded. And the petrol price again was one of the areas which was of concern, and other areas, the new taxation proposals, and we couldn't. And then VONC comes, and then 29th of August, the 7th and the 8th review come together. Now where we stand, Maruf, so that delay cost us our reserves kept going down. I always tell every country that I advise, including Pakistan or others, when you have a balance of payments challenge, go to the IMF preemptively, not reactively. I'll give you an example. On the 30th of January, the IMF board will approve a program for Bangladesh preemptively. They don't have a challenge, they do have a difficult situation because the world is in a difficult situation. Pakistan had to go through the ninth review at the end of October, early November. Today, when we talk, we are ending January and we are still expecting in a day or two for the IMF team to arrive. So, in the short run, Pakistan has no choice but to own the program, take the measures that are required. And again, I always keep making this distinction.
Dr. Hakan, let me interject for 1 second. You know, before, isn't it true that politics has been played with the IMF program in itself? You know, we talk about, and I think we've spoken about this before, that we talk about an economic charter. We talk about some seriousness when the opposition also says that, you know, they are concerned about the common man. They're concerned about what this will mean to the common man, you know, this increase. This is just like a small increase, and the tough decisions that are, of course, ahead. But the point is, in the absence of an economic charter, in the absence of, you know, an opposition that does not want to fuel uncertainty, you know, we are going to be dealing with an IMF that is not quite, you know, is it reticent? Are you seeing it reluctant? Has there been change overall?
So, you know, the IMF also has not a lot of room to play with. Why do I say that? You have an economic challenge where your imports are at a much higher rate. You've tried to bring them down through measures that should have been temporary and should have been released, in my opinion, a month or two ago, because funds should have flowed. Pakistan's only way out is to have funds come in. Pakistan's dollar liquidity crunch is not going away with exports or remittances in the next 6 months. I see a lot of commentary on the long term of Pakistan. Actually, the dilemma is a short term dilemma. Till we solve this 6-month dilemma and start taking long term measures, we can't get out. Now, you know, political instability will never go away from Pakistan. I think we've lived with it. Today, the problem is the word that you've used, Maruf, very rightly. It's the uncertainty which is fueling this uncomfortable position. I mean, I'll give you an example. In the PMLN government, we were sitting, and you know, this will make things very clear. We were sitting in Dubai, we were negotiating the 4th review, and then there was political uncertainty in the country because this was when the PTI sit-in was going on. We could not complete the 4th review. We came back and we had to tie it up with the 5th review. So to answer your question, that example, you know, clarifies it. Today, my request to all the political parties has consistently been, having been able to work with all of them and talk to them, that please create a little bit of certainty so the IMF goes through. But even if you hear the PTI on this side, I mean, they've also said that IMF program is a must. I think that confirmation is almost now, and we want to strengthen the hands of the incumbent government to go ahead and not take difficult decisions. These are unpopular, politically toxic decisions, but these are not the tough calls. So, you know, and there is no way out of it. Otherwise, you'll see disorderly movements, as you've seen happen with the exchange rate of Pakistan and also with the fuel prices today. And for orderly movement for Pakistan, the short-term decisions, which are very, very unpopular maybe, but there is no way out of this bleeding that is taking place in Bihar.
Let me come back to you. Ali Salman Sahab, I think it's difficult to disagree with what Dr. Hakan is saying primarily, but in the kind of situation that we are in at this time, 6 months, he said, is the difficult time. It's going to be tough to do the short term, in your opinion. How do you see things, you know, in this 6 months, considering we're going to be looking at more fuel increases? That's what is being talked about. We are also looking at, you know, the political scenario can't be, you know, we can't exclude it completely from what's happening in the economic situation, of course, is related to, like I said, the uncertainty. The electoral, of course, we are looking at by-elections and again by-elections and again, you know, contesting, first resigning,